The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. together with the official delegation embark on his 5-day official working visit to Japan. Expect the bilateral deals to ink with the Imperial.
The Marcos Jr. administration temporarily suspends its deployment of newly hired domestic workers bound for Kuwait following the recent cases of murder and maltreatment of overseas Filipino workers in the Gulf state.
The Philippine government deploys an 85-man team to assist the victims of the magnitude 7.8 earthquake in Turkey.
And despite facing many challenges, United States President Joe Biden delivers his State of the Nation address, still presented an encouraging speech to the Americans since he took office 2 years ago.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Wednesday, February 8, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Hardy Delgado.
First in the news. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. arrived in Japan this afternoon for his 5-day working visit. Nel Maribohok will give us the details live. Yes, Nel, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, Will. Around 6 p.m. here in Tokyo, 5 p.m. Philippine time, the President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. together with the official delegation arrived here in Japan for his 5-day official working visit. PBBM visit to Japan starting today until Sunday is upon the invitation of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. This is their second face-to-face meeting following their meeting at the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly last year. President Marcos Jr. and Kishida are expected to hold a bilateral meeting tomorrow to be followed by a working dinner hosted by the Prime Minister. The President and the First Lady will be given imperial audience with the Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako. During his visit, PBBM will witness the signing of at least 7 key agreements, including cooperation on infrastructure development, defense, agriculture, and information and communications technology. The President is also scheduled to meet with the chief executive officers of Japanese shipping companies. Before returning to Manila on Sunday, PBBM will meet with more than 1,000 members of the Filipino community in Tokyo. There are more than 300,000 Filipinos living and working here in Japan. And that is our update. Back to you, Will.
Yes, thank you, Nel Maribohok, reporting live from Tokyo, Japan.
The murder complaint against suspended Bureau of Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag and other individuals over the death of broadcaster Percy Lapid and June Villamor is now submitted for resolution. Dante Almento tells us why.
The panel of prosecutors of the Department of Justice or DOJ has concluded the preliminary investigation on the 2 murder charges against suspended Bureau of Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag and Ricardo Zulueta among other respondents today, February 8. This is over the killing of broadcaster Percy Lapid and middleman June Villamor. Both parties will now just wait for the resolution of the case whether there is probable cause to indict the respondents or clear them.
There's no timeline because right now we are going to review everything for purposes of resolution. But we'll let you know when we issue the resolution in these cases.
Meanwhile, Bantag also filed his counter-affidavit through his counsel today. He still argues the DOJ has no jurisdiction over the case, and there are alleged inconsistencies in the statements by the gunman Joel Escorial that link Bantag to the crime.
Yung statement ng gunman na sinabi niya na as early as September 5 ay nag-usap na sila ni Villamor na ipapapatay si Percy Lapid, no? So yun ang usapan nila, that was September 5. And then here comes the statement of the two PDLs, Galicia and Labra, stating that they came up with an agreement to for the killing of Percy Lapid on the second week of September.
The Lapid family, on the other hand, received a copy of Bantag's counter affidavit and hoped for a fast resolution of the case.
So the case will be submitted already for resolution. Yan na lang antayin natin.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Philippine government, through the Bureau of Immigration or BI, will deport the two remaining Japanese fugitives, Yuki Watanabe alias Luffy and Tomonobu Saito, at 11:45 p.m. tonight, February 8. Some Japanese police officers will escort them back to Japan through Japan Airlines Flight 078. Watanabe and Saito are already cleared of their cases in the Philippines. The government already deported the other two wanted Japanese nationals, Kiyoyoto Imamura and Toshiya Fujita, yesterday.
That this is it. The 11:45 flight is already booked, so we hope that it will proceed as planned.
The Philippine government has decided to temporarily suspend its deployment of newly hired domestic workers bound for Kuwait following the recent cases of murder and maltreatment of overseas Filipino workers in the Gulf state. This report will tell us why.
The Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, has confirmed on Wednesday, February 8, that the Philippines will implement a targeted deployment ban on first-time domestic workers bound for Kuwait. In today's Senate hearing on the killing of overseas Filipino worker, or OFW, Julie Biranara, the agency says all applications of newly hired domestic workers to be deployed to the Gulf state will now be suspended. Alternative destinations such as Singapore and Hong Kong will be offered to new recruits.
Meron po tayong mga less vulnerable or mas maayos po ang protection mechanisms for workers, katulad po ng Singapore. Sa Hong Kong din po, malakas po ang ating partnership with the host government. Rights-based approach talaga, ito po ay malakas po na inoobserbahan in those countries. Mas malapit pa po sa atin, sir.
According to the DMW, a fact-finding team has been deployed to Kuwait to meet with OFWs and stakeholders. The agency vowed to submit to Senator Rafi Tulfo an initial report from the team by the end of the week. The DMW adds a technical working group has been formed to craft the recommendations for the bilateral agreement between the Kuwait and the Philippines, which is now under review. Tulfo, who chairs the Senate Committee on Migrant Workers, recommended to the agency to consider in its recommendations several additional requirements for potential employers to prevent maltreatment and abuse of OFWs. These include neuropsychological tests, health and police clearances, and pre-engagement orientation. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
In other news, the Philippines will deploy an 85-man team to assist the victims of the magnitude 7.8 earthquake in Turkey. This is composed of emergency health group and search and rescue teams together with some goods. Leah Ilagan will tell us why.
The 85-man team of the Philippines who will help in the search and rescue operation in Turkey will leave tonight, February 8. Office of the Civil Defense Joint Information Center head Diego Agustin Mariano said they will board on a commercial flight.
Ang earliest possible departure po nila is ngayong gabi na po, mamayang 10:20 po ng gabi via commercial flight po ng Turkish Airlines po. No? Pero ito po ay subsidized or sponsored po ng Turkish government.
Of the 85-man team, 33 are from the Armed Forces of the Philippines. 21 of them are from the 525th Engineering and Construction Brigade of the Philippine Army, and 12 are from the 505th Search and Rescue Group of the Philippine Air Force. AFP Chief of Staff General Andres Centino said they are trained on collapse building rescue operation.
Marunong sila sa mga collapse structures search and rescue. They have the training and equipment to do these special tasks. They've been deployed in other parts of the country, and the biggest that they were deployed was in last year during the Typhoon Odette in Leyte.
The Metro Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, will also send a 12-man team. MMDA Chairman Romando Artes said their rescuers are veterans of Nepal and have been able to rescue the survivor on the collapsed supermarket in Pampanga. Aside from the manpower, Chairman Artes said their team will also bring equipment and water filtration machine.
Meron po tayong dalang mga equipments tulad ng life locator kung saan kahit 45 feet po ang lalim ng rubble ay nadidetect po nila kung may tao or object na gumagalaw. Meron din po tayong mga victim locators na naririnig po kung may sound na nagmumula sa mga gumuhong gusali at iba pa pong mga equipment. So tutulong po tayo sa paghahanap and hopefully makasave po tayo ng buhay.
Meanwhile, the Department of Health, or DOH, will also send 31 personnel. 7 are doctors, 8 nurses, 2 medical technologists, 2 pharmacists, logistical people, and administrative officers. DOH officer in charge Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere said the DOH team are equipped with medicines and portable medical equipment.
Lahat ng kailangan ay dala-dala namin. Actually, we have 16 tons of equipment, supplies, and medicine. So lahat ng gamot na pangangailangan dahil we are the medical responders. Dito sa buong contingent ng Pilipinas, kami yung sa medical response. So nasa amin ang mga gamot, nasa amin ang mga medical supplies, nasa amin ang mga medical equipments. Up to the point na pwede tayo makapag-intubate on the site, and meron tayong portable ventilator na dala-dala rin.
Defense Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. said they have coordinated with the Philippines Defense Attaché in Turkey to ensure the safety of the response team. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology calls on the public to participate in the preparations being conducted by the government for the possible occurrence of the so-called The Big One. Aside from the West Valley Fault, a stronger earthquake may emanate from the Philippine Fault. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
In 1990, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake recorded in Luzon and is considered as one of the strongest in the history. Buildings and structures severely damaged with casualties. According to the Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, it may happen again.
Nangyari na naman yung ganyang magnitude na earthquake sa Philippines. Ang tanong lang ay kung saan located yung magnitude 7.8. Ito ba ay malapit sa mga lugar na populated at maraming mga gusali na pwedeng masira?
The West Valley Fault is the nearest active fault in Metro Manila and nearby provinces. It may generate up to magnitude 7.2 earthquake, and it's called the Big One. The last major movement was recorded in 1658, and the cycle of occurrence is every 400 years.
Ito mo yung 400 years, mga 2058 ngayon. So, sa ganung basehan, pwede nating sabihin nga na malapit na nga yung event. Posible nga na bago maganap yun ay magkaroon nga ng event. Kasi statistics lang naman to eh. Pwedeng maaga, pwedeng muli. Pero generally, nasa period na to.
Based on a study conducted in 2004, if the big one will happen, it will result for 30,000 casualties. But the impact will be lessened if the communities will cooperate with various government measures like earthquake drills, among others. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And for our news abroad, Despite facing many challenges ranging from economic uncertainty, worsening relationship with China, and war in Ukraine, Joe Biden still presented an encouraging speech to the Americans, saying that significant improvements in the economy, battle against COVID-19, and vital infrastructures have been made during his leadership. Joselito Liquido will tell us the details live. Yes, Joselito.
Good evening, Mariel. U.S. President Joe Biden urged the Congress to work with him in uniting the nation as he delivered his State of the Nation address on Tuesday, February 7. The 73-minute speech was aimed to reassure the Americans by portraying a nation that has shown significant improvement since he took office 2 years ago. Biden, who is likely to run for re-election, aimed to prove to the American people that his presidency has delivered considerable results both in the United States and abroad. He has highlighted record job creation during this tenure, the country's reopening from its battle against pandemic, and the progress made on the state's vital infrastructure projects and high-tech manufacturing. Biden also highlighted that the country is as strong as ever as after surviving what is said to be its biggest test since the Civil War.
Folks, the story of America is a story of progress and resilience, of always moving forward, of never ever giving up. It's a story unique among all nations. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it.
As the Biden administration faces many challenges, including economic uncertainty, Russia's war on Ukraine, and growing tensions with China, the president is still presented an encouraging assessment of the country's condition, stating that even after 2 years when the capital was attacked, the country's democracy was unbowed and unbroken. The president also aims to tackle the country's sentiments as a new poll by the Associated Press Center for Public Affairs Research says that 3/4 of the respondents believe that things are not headed the right track. Riel?
Thank you, Joselito Liquido, for that live report. In other news, the death toll from a devastating 7.8 magnitude earthquake in southern Turkey and Syria over the weekend has now reached 9,630, with 7,108 people from Turkey and 2,530 in Syria. Rescuers still continue to rush against the clock in cold winter conditions to retrieve survivors from the ruins of fallen buildings. A Syrian rescue service also tweeted that the death toll is expected to rise significantly as hundreds of families remain trapped under the rubble for more than 50 hours since the country was hit by the earthquake. Due to damaged roads and bad weather, many communities have lost fuel and electricity as rescue teams failed to access some of the hardest hit locations to find survivors. While this is going on, more than 12,000 Turkish search and rescue professionals, along with 9,000 troops, are working in the affected areas, while more than 70 countries sent rescue teams and other assistance. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Marielle. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The House Committee on Agriculture and Food has begun its motu proprio inquiry on the possible hoarding and manipulation of agricultural products, particularly onion and garlic. This is in response to the directive of House Speaker Martin Romualdez to investigate the issue. During the panel inquiry, lawmakers questioned loopholes in the data presented by government agencies, including the Department of Agriculture's Bureau of Plant Industry. Cavite 4th District Representative Elpidio Barzaga called out the lack of official heads present during the hearing. The lawmaker filed a motion requiring all resource persons to be physically present in the next hearing on Tuesday, otherwise be held in contempt.
Meanwhile, a House bill seeking to suspend the use of mother tongue-based multilingual education for kindergarten to grade 3 has been approved by Congress. Educational experts, however, believe that the use of MTB-MLE is more beneficial for students. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
Calubihon Elementary School Don Carlos II District in Bukidnon has been implementing the mother tongue-based multilingual education for their students. According to the school's principal, James Gahe, this mode of teaching is more effective. He said that both teachers and students are happier and less stressed in the classroom. This opens more opportunities for learning.
Pabasahin nyo ang mga bata namin sa kinder. Makakabasa sila ng sentence. Makakabasa nga sila ng story, buong kwento, at masasagot nila ano man ang itatanong mo tungkol sa kwentong yan.
This week, House Bill number 6717, or suspending the use of mother tongue for kindergarten to grade 3, has been approved by Congress. Lawmakers nodded on the proposed law amid the lack of teaching materials in the mother tongue. Principal Gahe, however, said the Department of Education does not lack material.
Hindi po tayo nangangailangan ng malaking budget. Sa mother tongue-based multilingual education, hindi po importante ang budget. Ang kinakailangan po natin dito ay isa puso ng teachers, isa puso ng school head, isa puso ng mga DepEd personnel kung paano maipapatupad ang mother tongue.
Several education experts share the same sentiment.
Kahit sa ibang bansa, sa Africa, sa Latin America, tagang pare-pareho, overwhelming yung evidence that if you start with the child's language, ay matututo sila.
She also said that several studies have been conducted proving the effectivity of using the language students learned at home. Meanwhile, the Department of Education welcomes and supports any decision of Congress.
We will continue to evaluate yung ating implementation ng mother tongue at the school level, at we will try to improve pa po kung kailangan i-improve siya, and we will see kung may gaps, ay ibibigay po natin yun as part of our review, ibibigay po natin yung nakikita nating mga issues sa Congress also for their evaluation.
Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A transport group seeks cheaper price of modern jeepney to allow traditional jeepney operators comply with the PUV modernization program of the government. JP Nunez will tell us why.
An operator of traditional jeepney in Quezon City grieves over switching his unit into modernized jeepney. Mang Romy said that he can't comply to public utility vehicles or PUV jeepney modernization because the new unit is too expensive for him to avail.
Para sa akin, hindi ko kaya yun. Kasi masyado mataas eh. 2.7, kailan pa mabayaran yun? Last pag na yun, di pa bayad. Mahal talaga masyado.
If the government leans to push for PUB modernization program, he will bring his unit in the province to use as private vehicle.
Iuwi ko na lang sa amin to, gawin ko ng service sa amin.
Saan nyo dadalhin?
Pangasinan po. Wala na tayong magagawa kung talagang ganun ang gagawin nila. Sunod-sunuran na lang.
The Transport Group Alliance of Concerned Transport Organization or ACTO believes that operators are having trouble to procure modernized jeepney due to its cost. ACTO National President Liberty De Luna asked the government to provide jeepney operators a cheaper price of modern jeepney. De Luna's idea of cheaper price ranges from 1.5 million up to 1.8 million pesos, which can be easier for operators and cooperatives to pay.
Kasi kung 2.4, 2.5, medyo talagang super, talagang baka hindi kami makapagbayad.
The transport group also suggests that even when modernization has been pushed, original appearance of the traditional jeepneys should be preserved as it was already been part of the Philippine culture.
Hiniling rin naman sa ating gobyerno na sana may pagpipilian yung mga operators natin, may PUJ tayo na yung mukha talagang jeep pa rin. Huwag naman po sanang mawala yung ating traditional jeep, yung imahe niya.
Meanwhile, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB vows to help jeepney operators to find transport cooperatives to ease the procurement process for modernized jeepney.
Mayroon po kaming mga project management office. Intended lang po ito para matulungan po at magabayan yung ating mga stakeholders para po doon sa kanilang mga requirements at processes.
The UNTV News is still trying to get a reaction from the Department of Transportation or DOTR on the appeal of Transport Group. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Trade and Industry issues a new suggested retail price or SRP of some basic necessities and prime commodities. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
Following the continuous appeal of the manufacturers to the Department of Trade and Industry or DTI to increase the prices of their products due to continuous increase in the prices of some raw materials, the DTI has already granted some of the manufacturers' requests for price increase that will allow them to recover from their losses due to COVID-19 pandemic, Russia-Ukraine war, and the continuous increase of inflation.
Itong August 2022 suggested retail price bulletin natin, you would note na almost 6 months na rin yan na bago natin ginalaw ulit. Kaya nag-decide na tayo, si Secretary Pascual especially, na igalaw ito because nasa danger zone na rin yung ibang manufacturers natin pagka hindi pa natin pinayagan yung kanilang lugi na sobra-sobra na ay hindi nakakayanin. So baka magsara or mag-streamline ng production ang mga manufacturers.
With the new SRP issued by DTI, condensed milk was raised by 2 pesos and 75 centavos, which can now be bought for 42 pesos. A brand of 3-in-1 coffee also increased at almost 1 peso. 2 pesos are added to the price of Pinoy Pandesal and Pinoy Tasty. Some brands of detergent or laundry soap also increased by 1 peso. There was also a movement in the price of some canned goods where some brands of luncheon meat were increased by more than 3 pesos. 1 peso were also added to some brand of meatloaf and 2 pesos for corned beef and beef loaf. Meanwhile, in condiments, the price increased on some brands of patis or fish sauce per bottle and budget packed, while there are no movement in the price of vinegar and soy sauce. According to the DTI, the average price increase was only 1 pesos and 50 centavos.
We decided na kailangan na po talagang igalaw this year. Pero tempered pa rin siya. Nakita naman natin na hindi ganon kalaki ang pagtaas ng presyo. Hindi naman natin talaga rin binigay lahat ng ni-request nila para lang mabalanse natin yung interest ng consumer naman dito sa pagtaas ng presyo ng produkto.
Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Migrant Workers activates its hotline for families of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs in quake-hit countries Turkey and Syria. For OFW families who have relatives in the said countries, you may contact DMW 1 Repatriation Command Center for fast information and appropriate action and assistance to their situation. Families may call the hotline number 1348 or contact email repat@dmw.gov.ph. They may also visit the Turkey Help Desk at the DMW office, 6th floor Blas F. Opla Building, EDSA Corner, Ortigas Avenue, Mandaluyong City, open from Mondays to Fridays at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. A Senate panel has begun hearing the proposed benefits for senior citizens aged 80 and 90. The measure aims to amend the Centenarians Act of 2016 to include granting of a 10,000 peso cash gift to Filipino elderlies who will reach 80 and 90 years old. However, the Finance and Budget Departments noted that it would be difficult for the national government to look for additional funding should the bill become a law. Senator Ramon Revilla, one of the proponents of the measure, estimated that 4.5 billion pesos will be needed for the proposed additional benefit. while the Department of Finance says the proposal will be needing over 2 billion pesos, adding that the government will have to allocate more in the future due to the country's aging population. Senator Amy Marcos also emphasized that the government still needs to pay 79 billion pesos for the granting of stipend for indigent senior citizens. Citing the data from the Philippine Statistics Authority, the Coalition of Services of the Elderly says over 1.1 million Filipinos will reach 80 years old and above by the year 2025.
House Speaker Martin Romualdez said that amid deliberations in the House Committee on Constitutional Amendments, public discussions are being scheduled. The House Speaker said Cagayan de Oro City 2nd District Representative Rufus Rodriguez has scheduled public discussions and dialogues in various parts of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Members of the House of Representatives have reached a consensus to lift the economic provisions stated in the 1987 Constitution. House Speaker Romualdez said lifting these provisions would open the economy and address the aspirations and ideals of Filipinos in present times. He also reiterates that more foreign direct investments should pave the way for employment, economic growth, and alleviate poverty.
The water concessionaire Maynilad Water Services Incorporated will spend 3.2 billion pesos for the construction of 4 modular treatment plants, or MODTP. The treatment plants will be located in the cities of Bacoor and Imus in Cavite and will serve its customers in the said areas. The water output will have 47 million liters per day and can supply the needs of over 200,000 customers. Maynilad's Chief Operating Officer, Randolph Estrelado, said that the new modular treatment plants will lengthen the water supply in Cavite area, which considered as the farthest point of the company's concession area and will be available to its nearby customers. The 3 billion investment from Maynilad will cover the cost of pipelines, which will distribute treated water to its customers. The water concessionaire covers the west zone of the Greater Manila area, composed of cities such as Manila, Quezon City, Makati, Caloocan, among others.
Ransomware attacks have targeted servers owned by more than 3,800 organizations in the United States and Europe. Mavian Dog will tell us why.
Ransomware hacking attacks, which began over the weekend, have now targeted servers belonging to US and Europe organizations, including Florida's Supreme Court and several universities. According to Italy's Cybersecurity Agency Director General Roberto Baldoni, the attacks were targeting VMware's ESXi servers with a purpose of exploiting weaknesses in its software. A spokesperson for VMware said that these weaknesses were already acknowledged back in 2021 when they issued patches for the concern. They also added that customers should upgrade to the latest versions as soon as possible. Cybersecurity experts say that these attacks were part of automated attacks that hackers used to target servers and databases. Meanwhile, Florida Supreme Court spokesman Paul Fleming said that the organization's network and data remained secured and the affected servers were separate from the Supreme Court's main network. According to ransomware, the hackers were able to extort only $88,000, which is significantly less compared to other ransoms which could demand to millions of dollars. Mavian Dog, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced a 10-year healthcare deal of $196.1 Canadian billion, including $46.2 billion in new spending. Ia De Vera will tell us why live. Good evening, Ia.
Good evening, Mariel. Canada's federal government is aiming to fix the country's failing healthcare system by increasing healthcare funding, starting with provinces and territories receiving a $2 billion boost to the Canada Health Transfer, or CHT. The latest proposal also includes a 5% annual hike to the CHT for the next 5 years, with a plan to permanently increase funding in the years after.
Each province and territory is facing different challenges. That's why we're focused on negotiating 13 distinct bilateral agreements that will respond to various situations across the country. This will make sure that real improvements are made and accounted for, particularly in 4 priority areas: primary care, healthcare workers, mental health, and health information and data.
While the deal appears to ease the pressure on the Canadian healthcare system, a few premiers, including Manitoba Premier Heather Stefanson, were disappointed by the lack of new funding. Ontario Premier Doug Ford seemed more optimistic, calling the proposal a starting point for further discussions. However, Mr. Trudeau's statement to the press implied the offer may be final. Mrs. Stefanson added that the premiers need time to assess the proposal and will reconvene in another Council of the Federation meeting in a few days. Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Iya De Vera, for that live report. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Mariela Toza reporting live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. says Philippine Constitution remains dynamic and flexible. In line with the celebration of the Philippine Constitution Day, the chief executive also acknowledges the work of the Philippine Constitution Association. Here's why from Asher Kadapan Jr.
The Philippine Constitution has the ability to keep up with the changing times. It has undergone several amendments to keep abreast with the conditions needed for the country to survive challenges in both the local and international scenes. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. explains this in line with the celebration of the Philippine Constitution Day in Malacanang Palace. The chief executive pointed out that apart from establishing a democratic system of government, the Constitution also guarantees the fundamental rights and freedom of every Filipino.
It's indeed noteworthy that our supreme law remains a dynamic and flexible expression of our collective will, capable of adapting to the changing times and circumstances of our nation. For this reason, we let the challenges that come our way demand our continued commitment to the principles of our Constitution, as well as our drive to recalibrate the Philippine society for generations to come, and in the face of the challenges of the day and of the age.
Due to the efforts in defending and promoting the importance of the country's charter, President Marcos likewise recognizes the Philippine Constitution Association, or PhilConsa. The president says PhilConsa's role in safeguarding the Constitution is vital and should therefore be carried out continuously.
I would like to furthermore implore you to continue supporting the government in its efforts to ensure that its plans and programs remain compliant with the tenets of the Constitution and the laws of the land.
Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our Kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. Book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 20. It says, "He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed." reasons behind the news, February 8, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harley Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.